Welcome back to another episode of MTG Altered Art Tutorials. This time, we are going to talk about how to erase some of the excess paint that you have all over your borders, all over the things that you want to keep on the card. The reason that I do extended borders is because I really like the card to be legible. I like the original art of cards. I think that, because I've played Magic for a long time, some of these are very iconic to me. A Birds of Paradise from Mark Poole is very much just like, you know that's a Bird of Paradise. You know it from far, far away. I actually was in a tournament setting long time ago where I attacked with a Falconwrath Aristocrat, and someone had a Birds of Paradise in their land pile and blocked me and won the game. If they were using the art that I knew from Mark Poole, maybe I would have saw it. Maybe I would have understood what was on the battlefield a little bit better. And I think that when you're playing especially EDH, there's so many altered art stuff. I mean, you can go on and get any JPEG put onto your Ragavan, and people don't know that it's a Ragavan. They won't block, and then you'll make a treasure token. I think that it's very important for these game pieces to have the art that people recognize. So that's why I like using these canvases to not replace the art, not put new art on, and God bless everyone who does it. I actually just got some altars from an altarist that I really like that have new art. That's neither here nor there. I think that my shop should sell the original art that everyone understands and everyone loves, but extend the border. When you do that, you also want some of the converted mana costs. Couldn't speak for a second. The converted mana cost and the name, and then most of what it does not blocked by the art. Some cards, you can definitely block the name, block the casting cost. People will all know what it does. Again, we're going to go back to Birds of Paradise. If I block the 1 green pip, the 0/1, the Birds of Paradise name, what it does, people know what it does. But for the most part, I like to keep the name, the converted mana cost, and if it's a creature, the especially its power and toughness, because that is definitely different for a lot of cards and something you need to track if you're putting +1/+1 counters on it. If all creatures get +5/+5, it's really nice to know that a Birds of Paradise is 0/1. But we're doing a Tainted Pact. I am pretty much done with a lot of the background. I just want to clean up all of these pieces. All of this border, I want to clean up. Now for this, I'm doing a broken border where it looks like it's all crumbly. So I am going to use a wet toothpick. I actually have found a different amount of toothpicks to get. I used to go to the dollar store and get toothpicks from them. Their toothpicks are very big. The needle part, the scraping part, is much thicker and heftier. I got from Amazon, I think it's about the same price. You just have to buy more of them from Amazon. You want to get tiny little cocktail toothpicks that have the tiniest little point. You want these to be sharp. You don't want them to be dull. Yes, you are scraping things away, but if you are doing it with something dull, you're not going to have great control over what you're doing. So these are from Amazon. I got 2,000 or 5,000. I got a lot of them. There's a storage space in my house that's just full of toothpicks at the moment, but it means I'll never have to buy toothpicks again. So I have my my water that I've been painting with, and I just dip it in real fast. Dip out. Once it is filled with a little bit of water, it can have a little drop of water on it. That's okay. If you're using high quality acrylics, a little drop of water is not going to hurt anything. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to scrape away slowly, methodically, patiently, all of the parts that I don't want. And then I'm just going to use my finger to wipe it away. This is to get your precise edges. What I don't want is to scrape away too much, and then the edge of the paint has a little lip. You know what I mean? It's jagged. It's not smooth. It comes up into 3D space. If you scrape a little bit too much, hopefully you should still be using a wet palette and still have that color there ready to go. So I have most of these colors already kind of made, and because it's a wet palette, they're still wet. They're still usable. They're not built up. And if they are built up, you're just going to have to work with it. If they are non-pliable, you're just going to have to make another one and do your best to work with it. As artists, I have found that in every painting I've ever done, nothing's gone 100% right. Obviously, I'd like to think it's not my fault. That's just the nature of painting. But, you know, it's a nature of work, I feel like. If everything goes right, I feel like you've done something wrong. If you're not pushing yourself to be better at this job than you were at the last job, I feel like that's a mistake. So you saw that I scraped off a little too much here in this little orange. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to hit it again. In fact, I'm actually going to bring this a little closer. You can see all the details that are happening. I don't think you have to see the wet palette on this. Bam. All right. That should be better. Let me get some light source in here. For these, it's a little later in the day. My eyes are feeling not as fresh. I do have a beer next to me, so that could be something too. That just means you go over and you're more cautious because you're not as comfortable. I am using this scraping tool to give myself, again, I said roadmap in the last one, but that is really what you're trying to do with this, is continue to keep yourself on a good roadmap. So I am going to peel away the layers that are preventing me from seeing the roadmap and just revealing a little bit more. Now, the angle I have this at is very shallow to the card. I'm not up and down like this and stabbing it. If you scrape really hard, the client's going to see it. You're going to see the evidence on the card. You're going to look over and see it, and that's not good. You don't want any evidence of this tool. There are cards that I like it to look painterly. This one is possibly one of them where it's okay for it to look a little like handmade and not just printed on there. Because to be honest, that's what I like. Again, the altar I just got from my favorite altarist is very painterly. You can see not see the brush strokes, but you can see the handmade work, the honest human-made work. I mentioned before that there's there's an ease right now of printing out whatever card you want as a proxy. It's not a real card, doesn't have a real magic back. It's not on the actual near mint version of a card like I'm doing now. But you can still do it, and if you're playing EDH or even CEDH in a tournament setting, no one cares. It's just no one cares how you got the card. It's a representation of the card, and that's all that matters. Me personally, I do like a real card. I'm playing a deck in CEDH right now that's very Gaia's Cradle heavy, and I got rid of my Gaia's Cradle a long time ago, and we can go into if I regret that or not, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna afford a cradle. There's a bunch of tattoos I want to get done. Is it like, okay, I get a cradle, or do I get that tattoo that I've been meaning to get on my body? You just have to budget for what you have to budget for. So I understand people doing their proxying and putting whatever art they want on something. But when you get a altered art from me, you're gonna be able to run your hand over and feel somebody actually touch this with their hands for an hour, 2 hours. That's about how long my border extensions take. And I think that's special. It's special to say somebody hand painted this. It's special to say I have a piece of art. I have a piece of art is something that I'm a millennial, so a lot of people in my generation really haven't said. People get prints from Target, or people, take a JPEG they like and go to a canvas printer on the internet and get that printed on. Not a lot of people have real art. At least, again, in my tax bracket and my age group. This is a very affordable way to do that. It's a very affordable way to get real art and be able to show it off to real human beings. Because when we play Magic with other humans, or even on Spell Table, which I play a good amount, for sure, on webcam, it's really special for someone to be like, oh man, that Enduring Vitality, it's full art, but it's not the other version. Like, yeah, I paid some guy on the internet to paint this Enduring Vitality and extend the better art, in my opinion. I hate those Japanese frames where they look like anime waifu Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I cannot stand those. I mean, if you like them, buy them, but it's ridiculous how it doesn't look like Magic the Gathering. And that's a thing that I like about extending the art instead of just creating a new piece of a new art, new painting on top of it, is that you're extending this amazing piece from Adam Rex in he painted this in 2001. He didn't paint this far out of his own painting. He stopped over here, which, I mean, his painting is flawlessly amazing. Adam Rex is one of my favorites because it feels very handmade. It feels very unpolished and raw and exciting. And I think that's what people are looking for in their Magic cards. All right, now that you scraped off what you needed to, and then you went through with your small toothpick, this is my secret. You guys ready? I took a 3-round and I chopped off most of it to give it maybe a 1/8 of an inch of bristle. Just chopped it right ahead. Didn't do a good job at it, but now I can put that in my water and I can put a little bit of pressure and that'll take off any tiny bits of dried paint that are on here. And then once that's scraped up, you take your paper towel, which I use Vita, V-I-D-A, right? That's not Vita, it's Vita. And that is a cloth-like paper towel. So it's fully disposable, but it is, like, you can see there's no texture on it. You know, you get like Bounty and there's a bunch of texture on it. I hate those. I want this to be as smooth and uninteresting as possible so I can just use this on the card very lightly. You see I'm holding one piece and just using it very nice. That gives me full control. It doesn't have something that's going to scrape the way I don't want it to scrape. There's just a million reasons why you should use Vita instead of a Bounty or anything like that. So now that I did that, I am going to, instead of ending the video, I'm just going to show you the end of this card. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more so you can see my wet palette. The sun is coming in just a little bit. Hopefully that's okay with everybody. So I'm going to take some black, some white, and some olive green. A big part of being a altered artist, especially if you're going to do extended art, is understanding what colors are in everything. So if you look at this black border that's in there, you're trying to I'm trying to match that. Because I'm going to do its broken border now. I want to see what that actually is. What's that color? Because, yes, it's obviously black, but there's a lot of other things in there. And I've learned over the years that there's some olive green in there. A good amount. So I'm going to take this, what is it? A 4-round from Golden Maple, my new favorite company. I'm going to have a link in the description to buy from Amazon. These brushes are going to go and give you all the coverage that you need. You're not doing big things with this. You're doing medium things. In altering, I never make any big, big marks on my cards. You're gonna be doing small to medium marks and then building up those layers. If you ever have to make a large section on your card, like a certain color or paint that big, you're absolutely doing it wrong. Be patient. Do it correctly. You never ever have to pull out. Okay, where's a good? I mean, I can go. Here's a real crazy example. You never have to bring out this big thing. What is this, an 8? You never have to bring out an 8. I use this on my big canvases, when I'm doing a big piece. You will never use something this big on a Magic card. The biggest I would ever use is this, a 4-round. If you are ever trying to do something bigger than that, I would like to say you are doing it wrong. Even if you're just like, you know what, the whole card's white, why not just paint the whole thing white? Because you're going to see those bristles come through. You're going to see your swipes with that large bristle clump, it's gonna clump up. It's gonna look like you used that you were not patient, that you didn't care. And if someone is going to pay you actual money, you gotta care. It's a requisite, in my opinion. That's just the way I do business. That's the way I do business. So now I'm gonna go in. So whenever I make a 3D shape, I always do 3 passes. So you're gonna do your light, your medium, and your dark. So your light, you're gonna find your light source, which is coming this way. I'm just gonna throw down this little gray. I'm gonna put a little bit more black and olive in there. Just go back over it as my new one. And it's not much of a difference. But this is my light source over here. Anything that would be pointing towards the top right, I am going to cover with this color. And again, I'm using my 4 round from Golden Maple. This is actually a pretty new brush, so it has this really, really, really nice point on it. And when you have this really nice point, this larger paintbrush kind of does everything for you. It does everything. So I'm using this for the small, the medium, and it's just about brush control, which is something that I need to work on is my brush control, for sure. But when it's brand new, everything's just so buttery and good. All right, I'm going to go into just a straight black and just kind of roll it around in what we had and use that as my darker. It's going to look real dark, but as it dries, it's going to blend in really nice. And again, I'm using this very nice point because it's a brand new brush. I am just using the very end of it. And what you're doing also, when I'm doing this like brokenness, I'm giving the kind of beveled edge that a broken piece would have, and that's going to hide a little bit of what you've scraped away as well. So you're kind of like going over your scrapes and cleaning them. Clean them up real nice. All right, bam, bam, bam. And that's a tainted patch right there. I don't think there's much else I gotta clean up on this. What I try to do now is when I sign, I try to not make it so obvious. So I'm just gonna go into a couple of my browns here, mix them together, just make up this new color, maybe a little bit of red. What I'm doing is I'm looking at how, I also really like the sign community in Magic cards. So you see the AR in there? That's Adam Rex's signature. So I am going to kind of match that color and then put mine in there. Boom. Tiny little H. To be honest, I can go in and make it a little better. Give myself a little separation here. Again, if it's too easy, you may have not done it right. So even signing your name sometimes doesn't work out. There you go, a little H, a little dot. And there's my Tainted Pack. Thank you for listening to how to scrape away the things you don't want. If you have made it this far, of course, get in there. Like my stuff. Share it. Do all the stuff that makes me grow as a channel. Because to be honest, I don't really put a lot of effort into growing this channel. I just make things that when people say, oh, I watched your tutorial and it helped me, that just makes me happy. I'm not here to be a YouTuber. I want to be an artist and have my YouTube be something that is helping other artists come through and give me another way to be creative. So thanks for coming. Now you know how to scrape things away, and you also know my technique of making this cool brokenness that I think looks really good on old borders. All right, see ya.